All right, thanks everybody for joining. Today is February 12th, 2025, and this is the Fulfillment Architecture Review meeting. And we have Michael bringing us the topic today. Yeah, I'll send it over to you.
Sounds good. Hey, everyone. Yeah, so let me start by starting my screen. Can all see it? Yeah. This is kind of a little bit of a detailed topic, but the discussion I'm hoping to get a little bit broader with. So historically, we've had issues with paying down technical debt, and uh, I've brought up a couple of initiatives in this front end discussion that I linked to here. And but one way we can set ourselves up for success is to actively use deprecation management as a way to label code to be phased out. And we have existing tools for this, Rubucop and ESLint. Provided a couple of examples here how to use it. It's fairly straightforward. And as a first step, I just wanted to bring awareness to these tools, and that we actually have guides for this. And hopefully this can bring better guide engineers to which part of the code that we actually want to try to avoid and phase out, and what to do instead. Also, this could eventually avoid further dependencies, and organically move away from the code that's being phased out. To look at this a little bit broader, we're still looking on incentives to or working on incentives to paying down the technical debt of our application. We have a focus to improve what they refer to as engineering excellence. And recently, there's been some discussions on roadmap for engineering-led initiatives, which I believe is a good pillar to start combating this. A few other initiatives like bringing down code complexity that the platform team has been working on. I've tried to do some stuff on the front end. I've actually just looked into a few more opportunities there. Another one that we're trying out in subscription management is an attempt to try to minimize stale follow-up issues. But all in all, I think we're lacking a little bit of incentives in this regard because we don't really measure it as much. The engineering-led initiatives are a good way to bring it into the same process as we do features. But I've been looking at a way to measure this and read into this Dora delivery metrics that I've linked to. And particularly, I find there's a metric to lead time, and also looking at code duplication that looks interesting towards getting improving our code quality and maintainability. But yeah, just wanted to bring this discussion. I don't know if other people have any ideas or have been thinking about this and ways that we can kind of combat this and incentivize maintainability of our code base.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great topic to discuss. I'm just trying to digest some of the things. There's a lot of things here. So like the first one being just like deprecation, the ability to deprecate methods in this way. I guess the advantage here is that we're actively marking, methods to be deprecated. So if they're used, I assume this gives out a warning out. That's why I was looking at what the behavior is, because I've not used it before.
I have not used the Ruby one before, but I did test it out just before.
Yeah, I see. It looks like it spits out a deprecation warning.
It's none of these. It's actually it's a little bit more because these are front end stuff. Let me find it. There's a lot of logs here. Sorry.
I don't know if you have something you want to broadcast to us, but we're not seeing it if you are.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still looking for it.
Gotcha.
Uh,
I guess if it works the way that I'm thinking it does, like if it just prints out a warning, I think this is a step that could help, um, because it shows actively that, we don't want to use this one going forward. Let's use the preferred method, whatever that might be. Um, but I also wonder if it would still be stagnant, like it might prevent future usage, but doesn't actually enable us to go back and deal with it. But I'm not opposed to trying this.
yeah, so I should have prepared this, I guess, a little bit better. I thought the code examples were straight enough, but let me try to share my screen here. So I've just taken this presenter. Can you see my screen?
I think we
No, it's
just,
not.
yeah, we just
Oh, you're
see
just saying
Google Doc.
the, hold on. I need to share the desktop. Okay, do you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here I'm deprecating the percent method here. And then once I try to load that, let me reload the page. So you see here, there's a deprecation warning and it actually points to the call from this, which is here, where it's being called percent on this particular presenter. So it's fairly straightforward to work with. This is already built into RoboCop. But yeah, just to show that these tools are available and we can work with them as a way to guide engineers what to do and what not to do specifically. And this the reason I'm pointing specifically at this as a tool that's available to us is that because we historically had issues with paying down technical debt, this is a way for setting ourselves up for success and avoiding further dependency on code that we're actually trying to move away from. And because I've seen this a couple of times where one group is working towards a direction, and then because we're trying to migrate us away from something, but we're in the process, other teams might start depending on something that we're actually moving away from. And then like we start, stumbling on top of each other's you know goals, and this is a way to like clearly mark stuff out in the code base. It makes it a lot easier to organically just move away from that, because as soon as you see that statement in the code base, you're like, oh wait, I should probably move or not depend on this or start using this. I should probably do something else. And that message usually includes a way for you to like, don't do this but do this instead. um yeah. And I'm calling this out as like an awareness because I don't see us using this very much. Um, and so that's the other piece of it, is that there's not really a whole lot of incentives as engineers to actually work with technical debt for us. Like we don't really have a lot of measurements, as far as I'm aware, to bring this down. We're starting to build up some stuff and starting to set goals for this, but there's still a lot to be done, I think. Vitaly, you have linked to a dashboard. This probably, or hopefully, is something that we start measuring, showing me that we're measuring some of the.
Yeah, it measures lead time in some other metrics, but I think, as far as I know, it doesn't show code-specific related metrics. And continuing your discussion, when we deprecate something, how do we know that time has come to delete the deprecated method?
Well, usually in my practice, working with deprecations is to point it to a specific issue that tackles removing this code. So as soon as you create a deprecation warning, you also point to an issue. So you can look up that issue and see if it's still open, have a discussion there, like when is this due, maybe even set a target date. All these features that we have available on our issues. But yeah, it's a lot of it comes down to making a decision, I think, and moving with it. But the first that we need to do is communicate with other engineers, specifically doing it right in the code base where you're working, helps a lot with getting everybody on the same page on what's actually happening and how are we moving around in the code.
Yeah, totally agree. Like the thing is about the paying down the technical debt. Is leaving deprecations is definitely helps in terms of raising awareness for other team members. But I feel like we also have another major thing that we probably never like talked about or something that it slightly resonates with what you have said just now, that when we develop a feature, we usually try to use iterations as much as possible. Like we push the first version, then we continue working on improving it, and which is good, unless we just take the first or initial version and make it extremely complicated. So it's like we push the first version, then suddenly 1 month later we receive the bug report. We go back to the first initial implementation, and what we usually do, we just put another if statement there, which is extremely, which is not good. I would say it like that, because it's like, yeah, hey, I know that we don't have a nil check here, so let's just put an if here and we're done. But instead, we should ask ourselves why we have a nil here. Probably somewhere else our business logic misbehaves or something else, and the root cause of this issue is somewhere else. And then, like 1 month later again, we receive another bug report. We go back to the same model, to the same class. We see that if statement there, we add another if there, and that happens month by month, milestone by milestone. And suddenly, this component of our system becomes extremely complicated, that it's nearly impossible to fix bugs there or improve it. And we just continue pushing ad hoc solutions. And we create issues. Yeah, we will fix that later. Yeah, we will fix that later, or anything else. And I think last time I checked issues, the amount of issues we have labeled as like a maintenance, refactor, or something, or like technical debt. It remains the same from milestone to milestone. We never address it unless it becomes too late. Like, for example, yesterday we received a report from our support team that the admin page, the dashboard, starting loading more than 15 seconds because the seedlings table became just too large. Then suddenly we found that we had an issue about that and even like a presentation. But at some point, we will reach that for sure. And we need to address that. And unfortunately, we didn't schedule it at all because um, because our strategy and our like thinking when it comes to technical debt is usually around, yeah, we are using the term technical debt as a strategic technical debt. But at some point we will address it. And unfortunately this doesn't work because strategic technical debt never pays back you.
There are a couple of, oh, sorry.
So, I mean, I totally agree with you that we need to do something regarding our processes to lower the technical debt that we currently have.
I completely agree, and there's a couple of things that I want to pick out from what you're saying. So this is what I'm trying to point to in these other statements. So I think we need to lean on a couple of pillars in order to combat this, and one of them is the engineering-led initiatives and our technical roadmap towards this. This is actually also something that Sabrina is pointing to in her focus, the technical roadmaps here and the engineering-led initiatives, which I think is a good way to tie into the same process as we are with features. And this is going to help us, push towards these larger initiatives that here is a problem that we've acknowledged as in the engineering department, and proposing that we pay down this technical debt, or that we change this part of the application for the better. So I see that as one pillar. The other pillar that I've been trying to work on, and I don't know if this is going to work as I'm expecting it to, but we're going to try it out in the subscription management, is a way to set SLOs on our maintenance issues in order to try to combat them getting stale. Meaning that we commit to trying to bring them down as we create them. So in the coming milestone in the subscription management, I still have to like define the specific process, and we're tweaking it as we go. But the proposal here is to, for any new issue that we create, we set a priority on it, or severity on it, and then we take a look at what that looks like, how is that forming, and then try to set reasonable targets for when we decide to try to address them. So that's another way to try, another pillar that I could see that we could work on in order to incentivizing bringing this down. But the third thing that I'm looking at is measuring, because if we aren't measuring, we aren't doing anything. And this is why I'm pointing towards these DORA metrics. And I'm really excited to see that I didn't even know that we had a dashboard for this. And I'm really excited to see that they're actually looking at the DORA metrics specifically for this. So I will definitely try to take a look at this and see if we can start to put this to use. When I went to look at DORA, I particularly stumbled or read about this. I'm going to link to this, but they're talking about code maintainability, and what they're looking at is lead time and then code duplication. There are some other things to look at here that are interesting, but those are some things that I think we could easily measure and implement tools towards. And the part that we've already started with bringing down code complexity, which is, I linked to this cyclomatic and perceived complexity in the code. I think this is a good step in that direction. The Sonar linting rule that we have for the front end code actually captures a lot of the complexity in the code, but it doesn't capture duplication. So I'm still looking into if there's another tool that we can use there. But yeah, these are all ideas and ways to, you know, try to combat this, but I do think measuring is important, because if we don't measure and don't lean upon the measurements that we get, then we're never going to be incentivized to handle technical debt. So this also means that we need to bring leadership into this and make sure that we can actually, you know, work with them to find solutions towards this. And yeah, that's why I'm starting with subscription management to, you know, get started somewhere, and then hopefully if we gather some learnings, we can, you know, try to spread this out into other teams. But would be interesting to see, because platform team has been working with maintenance issues for a while now, and I don't know if you employ specific strategies towards this that we others could adopt as the rest of the groups in fulfillment.
Yeah, it's hard to know if how we work in platform would apply to the other teams, given that like we work on these large epics for multiple milestones that are geared towards some of these issues already. So there could be some learnings that could be shared across the other teams, but at least the way that we work might not be, be applicable totally. But yeah, the tools that you're mentioning, I mean, it feels like the deprecation is just one small tool that we should be aware of that could help with this. Is that the way you're looking at it, Michael?
Yep. It's just one tool. I just see this as the very easy first step that we can do as engineers. Just calling it out and directly in the code. It's going to help us, you know, avoid dependencies on stuff that's actually being phased out. And be mindful of, you know, because I think we do a great job at communicating in these blueprints that we've implemented, and you know, trying to break down project, and we have all these epics, but I think we're at a size now in the section that it's not easy to keep on top of all that's going on at the same time. And I think this is a way to communicate directly in the code what's to be moved away from and what to do instead. And I think it can be a very powerful tool for this particular matter. But that's why I'm also looking at what is the incentive here. And right now, there isn't really, other than it's helping ourselves. So this was most of all just a way for me to bring awareness to these particular tools that we can start using right now.
Yeah, I didn't see something like this in the GitLab repo, but certainly it seems useful, and maybe we could just broadcast it for awareness across the section in the engineering channel. Cool. Anything else we want to discuss today? All right. Well, we're close to time anyway. So thanks, Michael, for bringing the topic to us and for leading the discussion.
Thank you, everyone. It was great to have you all here.
All right. Take care. We'll do it again next week. Bye.